friends, Mrs. Hawk here again, and I am here. I changed my background for a little bit to read another picture book celebrating a different tradition that some families may celebrate during the holidays, and wanted to share with you this really special book called Tree of Cranes. This is by Alan Say, who has written some amazing books all about experiences from his family's background. He is a Caldecott winner for a book called Grandfather's Journey, which, if you've never read, is a great story of a family coming into America and the experiences of being immigrants from Japan. But I'd like to share with you this story today called Tree of Cranes. And this is about a child celebrating his first Christmas. So you might see that this little boy is not a baby. So his first Christmas, how that looks for this child and his family, and maybe what this child learns as he experiences this tradition. When I was not yet old enough to wear long pants, Mama always worried that I might drown in a neighbor's pond. Time and again she warned me not to play there, but I never listened because the pond was filled with carp of bright colors. Now, if you don't know, carp are kinds of fish. So you can see him in a pond. I hope he listens to his mother. I don't want him to drown, but a carp of bright colors. The last time I went there was a gray winter day, too cold for the fish to move around. They never came out from under the rocks, and all I caught was a bad chill. Mama would be upset with me, I knew. She would know right away how I got my mittens all wet, but then she might be happy just to see me. Mama, I'm home, I called. There was no answer. She always met me at the porch, always. I called again, and finally she answered, sounding far away. I waited, but she didn't come out to see me. She must be sick, I thought. Uh-oh, if Mama always greets him at the porch, I wonder why she's not there today. Look at where he lives. This looks really different than probably what my house looks like, my porch, and maybe what your house does too. Mama was in the living room folding origami paper. She just nodded, barely looking at me. But there were 2 slices of my favorite tea cake waiting for me. That made me feel better. Why are you making cranes? I asked. Because I want to make a big wish, she said without looking up. Now, I luckily have some background knowledge because Alan Say wrote another beautiful book called Tree of Cranes, in which they fold these beautiful origami cranes. I think the book is called 1,000 Cranes. You should look into that if you haven't read it. You're going to fold 1,000 cranes to make your wish come true? Maybe even 2,000. She reached out and touched my face with her cool hand. Why, you're hot all over, Mama frowned and gave me a silent stare. I hung my head and said nothing. She knew. You know how your mom always knows where you've been to, right? 2,000 cranes. That seems like that would take a lot of time. It's very intricate, those origami cranes. Anytime Mama thought I had a cold, it was time for a hot bath. 10 whole minutes and not 1 second less, she told me. She was upset. She didn't even rinse my back. Her slippers went shuffling all the way down the hallway. Then a door closed shut. She wasn't coming back to keep me company. I'd better say I'm sorry, I thought to myself. Thinks Mama's angry with him. Now look at this bath. It's so different than my bathtub and probably your bathtub. Where do you think this boy is? I feel like he is not in Highlands Ranch. But before I could apologize, Mama put me in my night clothes. I don't want to go to bed. You need to stay nice and warm. All afternoon? All afternoon. Will you read me stories? No stories, but I'll make you hot lunch. I knew what that meant. Rice gruel. Only sick people ate rice gruel. Ew, that does not sound good to me. And that's what I had, with a sour plum and yellow radishes, eating all alone and drinking hot tea in Papa's big cup. Then I lay down facing the door and hoped Mama would come back with an apple and peel the skin in a long strip like a red ribbon and then read me a story. Wow, she can peel a whole apple in one long red strip. It sounds like they have some really neat traditions in their house with their stories and food. The door never opened. "Mama," I called finally. She didn't answer. After a long while, I heard a noise coming from the garden. Maybe the old gardener had come to clip our trees again. I got up and opened the window. I think that this boy is probably very confused and wondering. I'm wondering what's going on with Mama, are you? It was snowing outside, and Mama was digging around a small tree. "What are you doing?" I shouted. Mama stopped and stared. "Close that window this second and go straight back to bed." Quickly, I closed the window and lay down again. She's really angry now, I thought. But why is she gardening in the snow? Is she digging a hole because she's angry with me? I didn't know what to think. What do you think Mama's doing? It looks to me like she's going to plant a tree. I was nearly asleep when Mama came in. She was carrying a tree in a blue pot. It was the little pine Mama and Papa had planted when I was born, so I would live a long life like the tree. Oh, she dug up a tree instead of planting it. "What are you doing with my tree?" I asked. "You'll see," she said, setting down the pot. "Do you know what today is?" 7 days before the New Year's Day?" "That's right," she said, and smiled. Then she fetched the silver cranes and some sewing things from the living room. Whew. Sewing things. She took his tree in a pot. I'm so curious. I wonder if this is why it's called, Tree of Cranes. Ooh, I'm going to look for that magic page. I feel like we're coming close to it. Finally, Mama sat down. She put a thread through one of the cranes and hung it from the tree. "I have been acting strangely all day," she said. I started to reply, but she shushed me. "If you promise to stay in bed, I will tell you why." "I promise," I said. "I was born and lived far away in another country long before I came here and met your father." "Where?" "A warm place called California," she whispered. I nodded. Oh, so she's from California, lived there. Have you guys been to California? And now they live somewhere really different. I nodded. "Today is a very special day in that warm place. If you happened to be there now, you would see trees like this everywhere, all decorated with winking lights and small globes of silver and gold." Ooh, what is she describing? Is that what your tree looks like at your home if you have one? Winking lights. I like how she says that instead of blinking lights. Like the lights are winking at you. "And under each tree, there are boxes of presents people give to friends and loved ones." "I want a samurai kite," I said. "You give and receive, child. It is a day of love and peace. Strangers smile at one another. Enemies stop fighting. We need more days like it." She put the last crane on the tree. "It's wonderful," I cried. "It's not finished," she said, and she brought some candles from the kitchen and tied them to the branches. "Are you going to burn my tree?" I asked. Mama laughed. "Just the candles and only for a short while. We'll replant your tree tomorrow." "I want to light them. May I? May I?" "Do it quickly then." Oh, you guys, look at this tree. It's so beautiful, right? And she's tied all the cranes to it. What does that remind you of? I found the magic page. Look. Mama let me strike the matches, and when all the candles were lit, she fell silent. She was remembering. She was seeing another tree in a faraway place where she had been small, like me. Mama held me in her lap. The cranes turned slowly, flashing candlelight. There couldn't be a tree more beautiful than mine, I thought. Not even in the place where Mama was born. It is a really beautiful tree. It's a really neat moment for the mom and the boy, don't you think? "What present would you like?" I asked. Only peace and quiet, Mama said. That might be what your mom asks for too. I mean something from me. Oh, something very, very special, like a promise. I said I would stay in bed. Another promise then. All right. Give me your word you'll never go to the pond again. I promised. I was fast asleep when Papa came home. Next morning, I jumped out of bed because a fierce warrior was staring at me. A fierce warrior. But it was only a kite. Only a kite, the one I'd always wanted. Then I saw the tree behind it, my tree. Suddenly I remembered last night and all that Mama had told me. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Papa. I ran outside with my present. Oh, look at this kite. Outside, everything was covered with snow. Oh, look, he's a little disappointed. It's hard to fly a kite in the snow. You can't really run and, get all the air that it needs. There'll be another day, Mama said. A fine, windy day with no snow. Plenty of snow to make a snowman, Papa said. Let's make one together. And like the snowman we made, many years have melted away now. But I will always remember that day of peace and quiet. It was my first Christmas. Isn't that such a neat story? What a different experience he had than probably you have as you get ready for the holidays. But I hope you'll think about what a special moment he shared with his mom, learning that tradition of hers and celebrating it with her and having a few moments of peace and quiet and giving and promises that he promised his mom. I hope you liked this story. If you do, please check out Alan Say's other books. They are just as beautifully illustrated and with such great stories. Have a great day.